Welcome to the CDRB Show, the podcast where you get to know some of the coolest people around. I'm your host, Christian Rodriguez, and each week I sit down with a special guest to chat about their life, career, and all the things that make them awesome. We cover some serious topics that matter, but don't worry, we keep it real and laid back. You never know what kind of insights and surprises you'll get, but one thing's for sure, we're always having a good time. So kick back, relax, and join us for another episode of the CDRB Show. Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of the CDRB Show. I'm Christian Rodriguez, and as every week we have a special guest to talk about their life and career. This week's guest is Mr. David Rieder, Mayor of Clarksville, Arkansas. How are you?
I'm good, Kristen. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm very good. Thank you for being here and accepting this invitation. It's a really honor for me to have you here today.
No, and I appreciate the opportunity very much.
Yeah, I hope that today we can discover more about your life and about your responsibilities as mayor of a city as Clarksville, Arkansas. So in every podcast, I try to talk with the guests about several topics starting from your background, your life. So the first question is, where were you born?
I was actually born in Paris, which is across the river from Clarksville. I actually was born there, went to school there, pretty much lived all my younger years in Paris.
All right. And how was your life when you were a child?
Well, I to best equated it was very humble and very country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we rode a school bus 30 minutes every morning to get to school, and you had to catch the school bus at 6:30 in the morning. And every morning we'd start with, a typical day was to split kindling because we heated the home with wood. We cooked with wood. I had to feed the chickens. I fed the dogs, the hogs, the beagles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did all of that. And then we got our water from a well. So we had to go draw 5 gallons of buckets of water at a time. And in the wintertime, we'd heat them up in a big black pot. And then we'd carry that to a clawfoot tub, and we'd dump the warm water. Mm-hmm. And then my sister would take a bath first, and then my mother, and then my dad, and finally I would sometimes I'd get in before my dad.
Okay.
But then we all shared the same 5 or 10 gallons of water. So we were fairly, humble and poor.
Yeah.
But we had a really good life, and I think growing up that way really got me ready for life and some of the hardships that you face. And just learning how to face adversity and just keep, moving forward. So I think I really enjoyed my youth. It was a lot of fun. It's hard work, but it was fun.
Yeah. So you were working basically since you were a child in the house to help with the family with all things.
Everything, food.
Yeah.
We didn't go to the grocery store. We canned our own foods. We had a big garden and we harvested our own food. Had a potato cellar. We kept everything over. I mean, there were some trips to the store, but for the most part, we were completely self-sufficient on a 5-acre farm. Mm-hmm. And it was hard work, but it was fun.
And regarding the school that you had to travel 30 minutes each day, so it was in another city or?
Well, we were on the very northern edge, so we were almost into the Ozark school district. We were we were probably physically closer to Ozark, the city of Ozark, than we were Paris. But it was in the Paris school district. So it was a little community called Carbon City, population of about 10.
So really?
Itty bitty, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the school bus would pick us up at 6:30, and it'd be 4:30, 4:45 when it dropped us off in the evenings. Mm-hmm. And then the cycle would start over. We'd have to put all the animals up and go harvest stuff in the garden if it was ready, or just basically do work around the house. And we got to play, ride bikes, and do normal stuff. And it was a pretty normal childhood, yeah.
Okay. And can you also tell us a little bit about your family?
Well, my family is actually, we are kind of transplants that we started in Connecticut. My grandfather and great-grandfathers, they came to the South following the work for the coal mines way back in the day. And so right now the majority of my family is in Hartford, Connecticut, New Haven, Waterbury, that area. So we were kind of the transplants in the South, and we come down for work in the coal mines. And my grandfather had the charcoal plant over in Paris, and my dad and my mom, I've lost them recently, so it's just me and my brother and my sister, and I got one stepbrother, and we we all kind of went our own ways because there was no jobs in our area, and we all went out pursuing jobs and careers. So pretty normal, pretty standard family, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, as a mayor of a city as Clarksville, Arkansas, it's interesting to ask you this question. What do you do on your spare time? Or like, what does a normal weekend in your life look like?
Well, up until recently, my life was around my two daughters. They were very involved in competitive sports. My oldest daughter went to college to play basketball, and my youngest daughter, they've always been involved in competitive sports, either softball or basketball. And I coached them, and we've taken them to tournaments in Mississippi and Alabama and Oklahoma and Missouri, and we kind of turned that into our family vacation. So up until they graduated from high school, that was pretty much our life. And then when they were in high school, it was following them around in their high school career. Yeah. And now they're at school, they're off at college, and our life is about growing gardens. I've really got into bonsai trees and doing patio gardens, growing things out of buckets, and not if you don't have the ground, you can grow in buckets. It's really cool. And so doing that and just spending time with my in-laws and my wife and just kind of being chill. I'm in the chill phase of my life, I think. Yeah.
And also, I wanted to talk about your studies. What did you study in college?
So my degree was Business Information Systems.
Okay.
So I learned Microsoft Access, Microsoft Excel, code, writing code, and then learning those information systems that businesses use and then how to apply those in the business world.
Okay.
And so it was a lot of fun. In fact, one of our capstone projects was being able to communicate to a security camera via the internet from your phone.
Oh.
It was one of the first projects we had. Now, you see that all over the place now.
Yeah.
And it's through our studies at John Brown University, that was our capstone project, was to actually make that work. And we did it. So
you studied in John Brown University?
I did, yeah. So I was in the military, and I never was afforded the opportunity to go right out of high school into college. So I was kind of a dual threat sort of person. I had the college of life that I was dealing with every day, and then when I had time, I was able to. John Brown offered a program one night a week, and kind of thing, and which was really tough. The military. I was in the military at the time, and they were moving us around, so it was really hard to to have to be displaced and keep on pace with your studies, and then keep up with your studies while working and raising a family, and very, very hard, very difficult to go that route. My advice to people is, my daughters, go to college, spend 4 years, get your degree, get out. Don't try to work, raise a family, and do college. It's hard, very hard.
In what part of the military were you?
So I actually retired from what's called the Active Guard Reserve. I was in the Army National Guard.
Okay.
I was deployed to Iraq from 03 to 05. And so as you progress up the rank, you have a duty station somewhere in the state of Arkansas. Then you have deployments overseas. You have different types of deployments. So it's very much a difficult thing to try to maintain a military career and pursue that progression, and then get ready for the civilian life. After military, get your degree and be ready. So it's just because of my financial situation, family situation back in the late 80s, I wasn't afforded that opportunity, and that was my walk in life. And I think that more than anything prepared me for this assignment that I'm in today, because it lets me see the world at the higher level. And I got so much more experience by doing that, and I got to see the decisions that we make at the city and how those impact people on a daily basis. So I think it equipped me to understand better what we do on a daily basis. I'm also interested on your professional career, and the first question I wanted to ask you is, before being a major, what other jobs did you hold? So believe it or not, my first job out of high school was I was catching chickens out in eastern Oklahoma.
All right.
Yeah, we'd catch 25 to 50,000 chickens a night.
Oh.
And then they would haul them to the processing plant and process them, right?
Yeah.
And it's very hard work. Would not recommend that. Very, very hard work. So then I did some work. I did some work on the oil field. Then I got a good union job in Fort Smith. working for American Standard, or building train air conditionings.
Mm-hmm.
And then that rocked on for a little while, kept getting laid off, and then things back and forth. And then a full-time opportunity opened up with the Army National Guard, and was selected for that position, and stayed with that for the next 20 years and worked my way up, and ended up being the operations sergeant major for the whole installation down at Camp Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in that operations sergeant position, and that's basically like running a small city. And it that experience more than anything gave me confidence that I could actually hold the position of mayor, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was just our walk in life. Almost in a way, it was kind of ordained. I was kind of built that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When did you start your term as mayor of Clarksville?
2019.
2019.
So this is my second one.
This is your second term.
Mm-hmm.
And how many terms can a mayor?
It's not limited on
There's no
mayor.
limit?
Yeah.
And
There's no limit to it.
do you plan to get another term if everything goes fine?
Well, Christian, that's a difficult. It's hard to answer that right now. It's been such a difficult thing for me and my family.
Yeah.
And so it's 3 years down the road. I don't know. I mean, I would like to. Right now, my answer is yes, but we'll see. We'll see what how things unfold over the next 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah. How was your process to be able to decide that you wanted to get a second term as a mayor?
Well, I think it was, we had so many open-ended projects. We had set out with a vision of inclusion and job creation, and setting things, policies and procedures in place that would create a diverse and open city.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that more than anything, I wanted to see that through. And so that's kind of why I chose to run. And
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, my family they were like, we would prefer you not do it, because, it's not always a pleasant thing to be in that seat. Someone's always throwing stones at you.
Yeah.
And it's hard on your family, for them to witness that and watch that. So a big part of it was their decision, and their decision to support me and help me do it. I wouldn't be here without them.
How has it affected your job to your family? In which type of situation?
Well, I think it's tough, because when you're not involved with politics, you always have this desire to be accepted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in politics, there's an old adage that says the tallest nail gets the hammer, right? So if you're the politician, or you put yourself out there, you're out for public critique. And sometimes that critique is hard for your family members, number one, to understand, and number two, to take, and then number three, to forgive.
Yeah.
Because they don't like it. They know who I am, and they know that the ugliness sometimes that comes out from politics is not who you are, and it bothers them, right? And it's been one of the hardest adjustments for my family to have to deal with, is knowing the truth and then watching how it gets spun in public.
How have you been able to maybe evolve in how you receive critique from people?
Well, if it's true, I take it for face value and do an analysis on myself, and if that's true, make the corrections. If it ain't true, I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You have to take criticism.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's true, there could be some areas of improvement, and if you don't have that ability to at least reflect on it and look at yourself, remove yourself from kind of the position you're in, and say, is there truth to that?
Yeah.
And if you say that, and you can say, okay, well, maybe they have a point, make those adjustments and try to meet them in the middle. But if they're just being, some of them are just way out there left field, irrational, and it's hard to adjust to those sometimes. So I think so far we've done a pretty good job of balancing that out. Yeah.
So if anyone is prepared here that is listening and wants to become a mayor, what is or how does it work for someone to become a candidate as a mayor for Clarksville?
So the first thing, you have to have the passion, right? There's and I did it. I did a Google search when I was doing it. How do I become mayor, right? And state of Arkansas, and it led me to this book called Running for Office. It's a Running for Public Office handbook, and it tells you exactly what to do, forms to fill out, when they're submitted, who to submit them to. So you can Google search that handbook and read it for yourself, which is exactly what I did. But the thing you have to have more than anything is resolve.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a passion to resolve some issues that are affecting you, because there's so many barriers between you and the success.
Yeah.
You're going to have, any person that wants to run for office is going to have to accept that critique, accept the heavy weight that comes with it, but moreover be able to sort through all that and stay focused on the mission, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the hardest thing, is, the paperwork and filing all that was real simple. The state of Arkansas makes that so easy for you to follow. And then you go get, signatures from your community,
Mm-hmm.
petitions, and once that's done, you pay a filing fee, and then it start campaigning. You start, get your signs and
Mm-hmm.
going to places and speaking and getting your message out on what you want to do,
Yeah.
and hope it resonates with people, right? And once that takes hold, you should be, you'll be okay. But
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing is you can't. More people that I've talked to have not gotten in politics for fear. They're afraid, right? And that you can't be afraid.
Yeah.
And that's why, when you've got to have passion and resolve, it's not something that you take lightly. If you're going to do it, you're all in. There's no halfway.
Mm-hmm. When you're a candidate, obviously you can be a candidate, but you still need the support from people and the votes from people, right? So do you think it's necessary maybe do like a pre-work before trying to apply for a candidacy to be a mayor, because you have to have like support from the people that will vote for you? How do you get that if it's your first time in politics, for example?
So you do an assessment of the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you talk to people, and you just go around. You're basically doing internal polls with certain groups of people, all groups of people that you can get to, and ask them what their opinions are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then offer your solution to that issue or that problem. And if it's received well,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel like that people are going to receive you well because you've offered a good alternative, then I would go for it.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to run just because you want the title, it's not something that you're going to be happy with, because it at times can be brutal with the criticism that you take.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not passionate about being there, it's going to bother you really very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your main functions as mayor?
So there's two ways to look at it. City is ran by a legislative body,
Mm-hmm.
which is that's the rule makers, and that's your council members. And then the executive function, which is the individuals that carry out the day-to-day activities. So council members make the rules, mayors enforce them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm in charge of overseeing the day-to-day activities of the city,
Okay.
and making sure that we're doing things in accordance with the law, getting feedback from the community, so that the rules and the things that are being decided upon are going in the direction, and that the council members are aware
Yeah.
of what's being said in the community, right? So they're making the right rules and reshaping the rules so that the mayor and his staff can move forward and meet those objectives.
Yeah. Also, I was doing research in the Clarksville government website, and there's a list of goals you have as mayor, with one of them being encourage citizen participation in city government.
Yeah.
How do you think you have achieved, or how do you approach to that goal?
Yeah, I think mostly it's just by communicating that you don't have to have a certain name. You don't have to come from a certain social background. You can participate. You can serve on a board, committee. You can run for council. You don't have to have any qualifications other than being an American citizen and have a passion to do something right for people.
Yeah.
Those two things, that's all you need.
And also, I was looking to a news report that was like a couple years ago on the pandemic, and you were announcing that you were closing every public space because of the pandemic.
Right.
How was that received from people?
No, it wasn't received well, right?
Yeah.
Some understand it, some don't. That's a perfect example where your actions are in line with protecting folks, right? But some people there was comments like the mayor's being a dictator, right, and things like that. There's no sense in that, because we were doing things in accordance with the CDC guidelines, and we didn't want to get more people sick. So in order to discourage the grouping of people, we closed the indoor facilities but left the parks open. So that was one of those situations where you knew you did the right thing. You got to have thick skin and just ride it out and know that you're right. So that's a perfect example of you bringing up where you get criticism over doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you just got to have thick skin.
Also, in all this time as mayor of Clarksville, what will you consider is your biggest achievement so far in these 2 terms you have?
And that's a big question. Let me think for a second. I would say probably our Vision 21 initiative, our bond refinance, which I've seen some comments from other communities, bigger communities from us, saying, if you want to see how things should be done, look at Clarksville. They're a third of our size, and they have the amenities of Conway or Little Rock, right? So the voters approved a bond refinance that allowed us to build the 12 miles of mountain bike trails, the inclusive playground, the only one of its kind. We may be the only city of our size that has an inclusive playground. And then the new baseball complex has come in, 2 more basketball courts. It's just amazing what that done, and I think the impact. And then the soccer field remodel. It's been 26 years since we built the soccer complex. It still don't have lights on it. You still can't hold soccer tournaments. It was probably the largest demographic of youth sports that we have. It was so badly underserved. It was high time that we addressed those needs, and I'm very proud of that. Very proud of that. So soccer is going to continue to grow and be a big program for us, and now it's going to be done right. And the voters approved that. Our council's been supportive of it, and I'm really, really grateful. And I think of all the crowning achievements, that's going to be one I look back to see my kids and my grandkids enjoying that, right? And going out to the soccer complex, the baseball complex, and seeing these kids and generation after generation enjoying, with their families. It's good family, wholesome entertainment. And by chance, those activities can open up opportunities for kids that want to go to college, right? It gives them the facilities to train, learn teamwork, eventually go into college to come here and play soccer or play baseball or play basketball. And it's amazing that feature has come the way it has. And then beyond that, our economic development team, the way we kind of restructured that and brought Stephen Hauserman on, and the things that we're doing as a city to bring in new jobs and new opportunities, so that we don't have to export you. You know what I mean? So you don't have to leave here. You could stay here and have a life here because there's good jobs. Yeah. And so the kids that are graduating college, we've been exporting that talent for years and years because we haven't really grown and had the type of jobs that they want. So we're really close to really changing the stars for this community, not just Clarksville, but the whole River Valley, with the projects that we have in the hopper that we're working on right now. That is going to make things totally different for us going forward. Very excited about that. Yeah.
And also, as a mayor, what can you see that has been one of the biggest challenges for Clarksville, or a challenge that is facing right now, and how is the city facing it?
I think there's a lot of challenges. One of the biggest things that is housing. We have a major housing shortage here. And as the economic development projects start to land, it's even going to be more compounded because we have the jobs, but we don't have the houses to bring people in. Yeah. And it's a catch-22. We can't grow because we can't have houses, and we can't get the jobs here because we don't have the people. Yeah. And so we're trying to solve that problem right now. It's been one of the biggest challenges that I've seen. And other than that, there has been some resistance to change. But for the most part, it's not been that big of a challenge. I think people in Clarksville and Johnson County have been hungry for growth and change for some time. And I'm pretty excited to say that, I can see it, legitimately say it to you and anybody else, honestly, that I can see the good positive changes. They're on the radar. We're having discussions every day. And things are going to be much better going forward for all of us.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned that these changes that are happening are not going to only impact positively the people here in Clarksville, but the whole River Valley, right? So my question is, What role does Clarksville play in the broader region, and what are some of the city's partnerships or collaborations with neighboring communities?
Well, I think it's, we're all kind of connected together, right? Russellville goes as Clarksville goes. Clarksville goes as Ozark goes. And I'll be honest with you, Paris, my hometown over there, could really benefit from the jobs that are created here, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think if we do something, a perfect example, the casino that's being talked about going into Polk County, mm-hmm. How's that going to affect Clarksville? Either positive or negative, right? Yeah. It's so what we do matters. Our project Ether that we're discussing right now is going to affect every city around us because it's jobs that they can occupy. It's going to bring people into our community, buy houses, build their families here. Mm-hmm. So I think it's inherent that we make those decisions, that we get out of the small scale view of it and get up at that 10,000 foot level and say, if we do this, how does it affect left and right of us? And I think it's incumbent that we try to always strive to do things that are in a positive nature. Mm-hmm. And so I think if we just continue to do that, we'll be fine.
Yeah. Also, you were talking about the issue right now with housing and how that affects for jobs creation even. But I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to someone looking to start a business or relocate to Clarksville?
I would just say do your research, right? Mm-hmm. And know up front before you start a business, for example, the zoning code that you're in, can I do that business in this part of town? What are the policies and procedures? Because I'd be honest with you, it's something I didn't know when I started my business. It's just at the bottom of the hill below the college. So I didn't realize that my building was in what's called a residential office. And so it has much tighter restrictions on what I could do. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when I went to put a sign up, the sign couldn't be allowed because it was too big for that zone. Mm-hmm. So some of the frustrating things like that were difficult. I wish I'd done a better job of researching, starting a business, and understanding how the system works. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of frustration out there, and people will get off on a business plan, get started, and realize, I should have done this back at step 2. Yeah. So understanding how that process works, number one is go to City Hall and talk to Cody Graham, our building inspector, talk to Winnette, and find out what that process looks like and get their advice. That's the first thing I would do.
Yeah. Also, Clarksville is a small city in rural Arkansas, and how does the city balance maintaining in that small city charm while also promoting growth and development?
Yeah, that's that in the end, Christian, is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. Yeah. Do we grow or do we stay the same? Yeah. That is the competing ideologies out there. Some people say we need to grow, and some people say, we need to kind of stay the same. Mm-hmm. More people are in favor of growth. There's no doubt that they want jobs. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. Jobs make the world go around. They give us life as far as the city. So I'm a progressive kind of person, meaning progressive being I'm for progress. If we don't have enough jobs to fill the workforce, then we need to bring those jobs to that workforce. But in the end, those relationships, like with the chamber in the city, the city and the university, the city and the school, the utility. I think if we're fortunate enough and lucky enough to keep those groups all synced up together, kind of rowing the boat in the same direction, I think it don't matter how big the town is, you're always going to have a small town feel, because people will look in the eye and talk to you and know that hey, will you come sit down with me and have a conversation? Mm. And you could be as big as Houston and still have that go on. Yeah, I think it's just a geographic thing in people's mind that prevents them from being a small town. L.A., Los Angeles, we're from Bakersfield. And we lived in Bakersfield for several years. A huge town, but it's still, we had a farmer's market every Saturday, just like we have here. People greeted you with a smile and talked to you. They knew you by name. Yeah. So I don't necessarily, I think people get the wrong perception of what growth actually means. Mm-hmm. We need to grow. There's no doubt. If you're not growing, you're dying. And it's how you, again, you said it right. How do you maintain that small town feel? And I think it's with personal relationships between all the city entities.
Mm-hmm.
It's businesses alike, and not just civic organizations, businesses, city entities, utility entities, academic universities and academic institutions. Having those all synced up together is what's going to keep you small, no matter how big you get.
Yeah. In what ways do you think Clarksville has evolved or got modernized as a city? And I asked this, and you can compare maybe on how you saw Clarksville before you started your first term in 2019, and how it looks right now. How has it evolved?
Well, I'll go back a little bit before that. I'll say renewable energy has literally changed the stars for who we are known as. Right, we're one of the first cities that generate enough renewable solar energy to power every city facility. And that has resonated with not just state but national level folks that put us on the market about being forward thinkers, right? Our internet system that we've installed, that the utility installed, those are two really key things, I think, as far as the evolution of Clarksville. And then being the Vision 21, all the amenities that we've provided, the economic growth that we've seen, I think that evolution more than anything defines who we are now and who we're going to be in the future. It sets the stage for what's about to come. Yeah, that's different than what it was back in 2018 when I felt so passionate about running for mayor because things I was hearing and seeing in town. It compelled me to strive for inclusion and opportunity, and that's why I'm sitting here today.
Yeah. Clarksville is the home of the University of the Ozarks. So I wanted to ask you, how does the university and the student body and the faculty staff, all of us that make the University of the Ozarks, how does that change the landscape of the whole city, in your opinion?
That's interesting. Well, so the university may be our third largest employer. Okay, so just on that merit alone, right, they impact the city in a major way. If the university pulled out of here and pulled all their jobs, that is an impact I don't know we could overcome. It would be probably as detrimental as losing a Tyson's, so to speak. So they have a major impact on our city, and then the economic impact directly into the city revenues based off what the students spend in the community and all those things. It is just economically, it's probably our number two, maybe our number two priority. But what it says about the community, and Dr. Dunsworth and I have said this a couple times, we're not a town with a college. We're a college town. We just need to get there. And that's been part of the goal all along, is you've got an entire student faculty here that's a captive audience for the most part. We don't have student life off campus for them that we're striving hard to get to. And that's going to generate more life, more opportunities, makes the city more vibrant. And I think that by following that growth pattern has generated other growth because people want to be a part of positivity. So I think by following some of that course, that path, so to speak, about becoming a college town, has generated a lot more growth than we expected. So the university is critical to everything we do, because it's such an impact on every one of us. Every one of us. It affects the city's the economic impact to the city, like being able to hire street workers, street department, parks people, hospitals, and you name it. The economic impact is a game changer. And there's so many communities in the state, probably country, who would love to have a university like the University of Ozarks nested within its community for that very reason. And
it's also maybe a honor to have the oldest university of all the state, right? Because
and then the Greystone Military Prep Academy was a fantastic addition to the university, and then you can see the growth happening and happening, and the more it happens, the more the city grows.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like the two things are correlated together.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
If there was something you can think of Clarksville as a city that it can improve right now, what will it be?
Oh, that's always the hardest question. Is how would you make yourself better?
Yeah.
One thing I think that I'm still trying to get is easier building codes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to build a business, I'd like to see, or a home, or a housing addition.
Yeah.
I'd really love to see some of our building codes relaxed, and ease some of the financial burdens on those that would build houses, so that we could have more jobs and more people here. So I think that one thing is, I still like to see that change. I've not had the success of getting it changed at this point, but I think to answer the problem about building houses is maybe find a way to ease some of those bureaucratic codes, so that folks could afford actually to build houses.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one for us, I think.
Yeah.
And there's always other little things you'd like to personally, tweak a little bit and make better. But I think right now that's a big one for us. It's a big barrier to growth. It really is. So, yeah.
Talking about the future, it's always hard to maybe picture the future and not even what you're going to do in the next week sometimes.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, how do you see Clarksville in, for example, 15 years?
I think what we're building now is a launch platform for opportunities, right, and inclusion. And I'd love to see that magnified, because there's so many, like to your questions earlier about how do you get involved and plug in. I don't see enough of that right now. I don't see enough of civic involvement from folks. And I think by simply demonstrating, by leading by demonstration, I think that's going to encourage more people to be involved. And when you do that, I'm learning, when you get different perspectives looking at things, you get a better product, right? You see the world differently than I do. And you bring things to light that I wouldn't have seen. And so I bring all of my history to the table. You bring all it's amazing what a wonderful product you can put together, and then say, okay, well, that meets all, and you end up with a product that is so good for everybody. You can't be wrong. And I think what I've done, at least what I hope I've done, was injected myself as an example for the next mayor to follow, whether it be you or anybody else. Be open. Don't bring your biases to the table. Just listen with your ears, not just hear, listen, and then take that back and shape a product that's going to encourage others to be involved. Yeah. And you do that, and you get that input, you understand what the city actually wants. Yeah. And I think by doing that, you'll be successful. Anybody would.
Yeah, that's true. We're getting to the final part of the interview, and in this part, I try to do a kind of dynamic with the guest. It's a short phrase or one-word answers on different questions. So they are easy questions, so no worries. The first one is favorite color.
Favorite gray or silver, yeah.
What is the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Coffee. Oh, well, let the dogs out, and coffee.
Religion?
Catholic.
What is your favorite time of the year?
Probably the fall.
Why?
Just the temperatures are great, and the air is crisp. It's clean. The colors of the trees are changing. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's our good Lord's painting, right? Yeah. And it's amazing.
Yeah, that's like a tendency, because every time I ask this question, it's like the same fall always. Yeah, and I like it too. I think it's my favorite too. Yeah. What makes you angry?
My daughters. I love them to death. I guess just redundancy. Just redundancy over and over and over. I don't like redundancy. Yeah. I like to seek answers, find answers, and move forward. I don't like to be stuck on high center. I guess angry. I guess that's being redundant about things and not moving forward. Yeah.
How would you describe your personality?
I don't know. I guess that's a tough one. I've never been asked to do that. So How you say, receptive but aggressive, right? I love to hear what people say and think, but I also love decisions to be made and move forward. Do something even if it's wrong, right? Don't just sit idle and wait. Always move forward. So I think I'm an aggressive person.
Okay. Yeah. What will you buy if you received a gift of $1 million?
$5 million?
$1 million. $1 million.
Oh, $1 million? That's funny. I don't know. So the first thing is, my family would have no debt. Right, I would pay off their debt first, and then ours, and then I would. There's a couple of charitable organizations I think need some help, for sure, and then I don't know. I really don't know from there. Probably, I might just buy a boat and go fishing after that. Right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
After 26 years in the military, I'd be okay with a boat.
Yeah. Do you like fishing?
Yeah, I love fishing.
Do you go often to?
No, I don't, because I'm always being mayor. That's what my wife said. She said, we need to buy a boat and go fishing. Yeah. She said, you're always at a meeting or something, So, yeah. But it's been very much worth it. And when I was a kid, we basically lived on the river during the summer. We had limb lines and trot lines and gill nets and hoop nets and all that, because my grandfather and all them, they did that from way back in the day. So he was kind of a commercial fisherman. Yeah. I had a lot of fun doing that, so I kind of miss doing it.
All right. Next question is, morning person or afternoon person?
Oh, morning.
Morning?
Yeah, no doubt, morning.
All right. Favorite music genre?
I don't have one.
Oh, really?
I don't have a favorite. There's not one favorite. If it's from Waylon Jennings to Eminem to you name it. Lil Wayne, Nas.
Yeah.
There's everything in between, from Patsy Cline to Keith Urban to Toby Keith.
Yeah.
If it's got a good beat and a good message, I'm with it.
You don't have a favorite genre of music, but do you have a favorite artist?
No, honestly, I don't. I honestly don't. I can't think of one artist that I could just turn on and let that artist play on repeat. I can't do it. For right now, Creedence Clearwater Revival is one of my favorite. And then last week it was Harry Mack. I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
Harry Mack is this freestyle rapper,
and
he's on YouTube, and I love watching this. You just say 3 words to him, and he makes his own song.
Oh, wow.
right there live. You should check him out on YouTube.
Yeah,
he's really
I'll check
good.
It.
So it just depends. The music. I don't have a favorite. In the 80s, it was AC/DC and Aerosmith and Journey and Air Supply.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was the 70s, right, with Creedence Clearwater Revival and the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of all over the map. I'm a worship.
You're open to any type of music.
Yep, I always have been.
Have you listened to any Latino artists or?
Not a whole lot. I can't remember his name. They wrote Despacito.
Daddy Yankee and Luis Fonsi.
Yeah, there's a couple of them that. Oh my Lord, I can't remember his name. I don't know their name.
There's another that is really famous, the most famous I think right now, Bad Bunny.
Yeah, yeah. Some of it.
Yeah.
So some of the music I don't know the name. I don't know the artist. I just, in my head I can sing Despacito right now.
Mm-hmm,
you know what I mean? So it's just.
I think that song was a boom all over the world.
It's just catchy, and you could play.
Yeah.
We got this speaker system, and I was playing it in my garage. Just blaring it right. And the neighbor comes over, and he's like, "Hey, what are you?" It's a good song, right? I didn't know what the words were, but I could sing it. You know what I mean? So I just love it if it's got a good beat and it flows well, and it's just good music, right?
Yeah, that's true. A job you dreamed to have when you were a child? A job you dreamed to have when you were a child?
A job that?
A job, yeah.
I didn't really dream about a job, honestly. I think I always wanted to go like the military. I believed in those guys and girls that were special forces, and they were doing the dangerous stuff, and I always kind of had that passion. Yeah.
TV shows or movies?
TV shows. Somewhere between Below Deck, which me and my wife watch all the time, and Swamp People. and Skinwalker Ranch, that kind of thing. So reality kind of shows.
Yeah.
We dig those things. Some of
So, what will you say is your favorite one? The one, the first.
Yeah, right now, Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, I think that has some real impacts on real life. I don't know this. Dr. Travis Taylor is a real scientist. He served on a real UAP task force for the federal government, and they're investigating some real weird anomalies. So I love the science part of it. And then I'm a big YouTube guy. You know, I spend a lot of time on YouTube watching how to grow tomatoes in 5-gallon buckets. And how to make cucumber trellises and how to do magnetic energy. And I'm just like a Rorschach test. I'm all over the place.
Yeah. The last question is cats or dogs?
Dogs. Yeah.
Do you have a dog?
Yeah, we got 2 dogs.
All
and then 2 cats.
Oh. And finally, the last one is I always give this chance for the guests to ask me any question if they want to. So if you want to ask me anything.
So what's your favorite genre of music?
I think Latino music, and probably Bad Bunny, the one that I told you.
Bad Bunny? Yeah?
Yeah.
That's fun.
That's one.
You sound like me. If it's got a good beat, you know, and when we just took a cruise recently to Cozumel.
Okay.
And we got to visit the Mayan ruins and learn all about that history. Incredible. My daughters loved it.
Okay.
But when we were back at the main shore, they had a live band there, a mariachi band, and we were digging that. So I can listen to mariachi all day long.
Yeah.
I don't need to know their names, the name of the songs. It's just good vibe, right?
Yeah.
You know, Ryan Harmon's a local artist. One of my favorite songs of all times is going to be his, Ride the Wind song that he wrote. And so I just love music. It just puts you in a good mood. When life treats you like crap, you can go listen to some music and just chill and get away from it.
Yeah,
that's
you can hurt yourself by listening more sad music if you're sad, whatever,
do that,
things like that.
Yeah, you don't want to listen to sad music.
Yeah. Hey, I got interested. What countries have you been in?
Well, you mean like officially visiting?
Yeah, like visiting.
So I've been to Korea, and then of course the deployment to Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Ireland, Germany. Honduras, Mexico, Bahamas. I've been there a couple times, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's interesting. And what were you doing in Honduras? Visiting or?
Well, that was a different time. All right, it's back in the '80s, and it was there were some hostilities going on back then, and there was a lot of transportation assets going back and forth, and I was actually working for the United States Air Force.
Okay.
Loading up C-130s and flying supplies down to Honduras and back and forth.
But from Honduras to the U.S.
From the U.S. So we leave Jacksonville Air Force Base and fly down to Fort Hood, reload there, and then fly to Honduras from there, and then back. We drop loads off and come back, and then we did our annual trainings down there.
Oh.
So the 39th Infantry Brigade, which is here in Arkansas, a couple of years would go down there and they would do their annual trainings.
Yeah.
So they would go to Honduras, do jungle training and things like that.
Oh wow. So your service in Honduras was around the time that, well, I think in Honduras we didn't have like a civil war during those times.
Yeah, it wasn't a civil war. I think
in Nicaragua and El Salvador
it wasn't really like the best time. I think there were some hostilities going on.
Yeah.
And then the military was doing training back and forth and supporting operations down there. And I was actually working. I was a E4, brand new, basically just got in the military, and we were working, loading up planes and flying supplies back and forth. So, one of the trips I ended up going down there and got stuck at the airport for a couple of days, and then never getting to fly back. So,
how was that experience in Honduras?
Well, it wasn't much for me.
How long were you?
We was there for about 3 days.
Oh, 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just was there for about. Basically the weekend, and then came back home. So yeah.
Wow.
But I've so many, and I've seen so many the places where people are going and telling me about on vacation is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Some of the prettiest water you'd ever see. The wildlife, the fish, sea turtles. People are showing me pictures of when they go on trips to Honduras.
Yeah.
You just don't think of that. It's
So you
amazing.
haven't been there since you went
Yeah,
in the
no,
80s?
I haven't been back since 80s.
You have to go back.
A lot of my friends,
Yeah.
a lot of my friends go. They say, "Don't go to Cozumel, go there."
Yeah.
And there and Roatan and some other places. So they love it.
Yeah, it's
That's-
pretty.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I have been enjoying this conversation with you. Thank you very much. Any final words that you would like to say?
I appreciate the opportunity and good luck with this is your senior year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm graduating in
And-
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
then you're going back. You're going to Honduras.
Yes.
What are you going to do when you get there?
Well, I'm hoping to get a job in probably something related to media or in a TV station or radio station and try to make my career in that area.
Yeah,
Because
well, I
I
think-
like it a lot. So
Yeah, you keep doing it. I think you're going to be good at it, right?
Yeah,
Just
thank
get folks on the air and you keep doing your podcast, and that's the thing of the future, right?
yeah.
People are going away from like paper print. They want to hear and see people talk. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good future and a good choice for you to do. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you to everyone that listened to the CDRB show. I'm Christian Rodriguez, and you can find us on Instagram at CDRB Productions. We'll see you next time. Thank you.